Hey guys, it's Amew, and in this video we're going to be exploring the PlayStation 5 and its brand new DualSense 5 controller, and let me tell you, this thing is immersive as So the reason it's immersive is that this thing is equipped with haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers. Now, Sony has made many improvements over the old DualShock 4, which, in my opinion, definitely had some limitations. I went through a lot of these controllers over the lifetime of my PlayStation. The DualSense 5 also has a built-in microphone and integrated speaker, so you can plug a 3.5 millimeter cable directly into the controller and have your headset fully operational with a mute button from the controller, which is a really nice quality of life feature. I feel that the quality of the DualSense controller has been improved by leaps and bounds compared to the DualShock 4 controller. I believe they use the same exact analog sticks, but that is where the similarities seemingly end. The controller feels a lot more chunky in your hands, and it feels more like an Xbox controller mixed with the DualShock 4 controller, which I really like. As you can see, I was one of those lucky enough to acquire a PlayStation 5 through Sony Direct. It's almost been kind of like a lottery through Sony Direct or Walmart, any of these other places, to get a PlayStation 5 right now. So the magic in these adaptive triggers specifically is this little device right here. Thanks to Tronics Fix on YouTube for providing this photo of the internal parts of how the DualSense controller works. But it looks like there are little gears inside there that actually give the pushback on the triggers to allow the adaptive triggers to work. So these gears work by being programmed to specifically push back against the trigger on the player's finger when you're pushing it down. So games like Black Ops Cold War here, all the guns have been specifically programmed to push back against your finger using a varying degree of force per gun. So each gun feels different. They all feel very unique, and it feels like you're squeezing a real trigger. And it's one of the most immersive things that I've ever felt in video games in, I would say, the past 5 to 10 years. I can confidently say it feels like surround sound for your hands. That's how big of a game changer the DualSense is with its haptic feedback and specifically these adaptive triggers. So on Black Ops, I went ahead and made a little list of what qualities we're looking for per gun from the adaptive trigger standpoint. So the first thing we look at is the initial tension, which is the amount of force needed to complete a trigger pull. So how much force do you need to push down before the gun starts firing? Some guns require a ridiculous amount of force to even be able to start firing. Others are very light to be able to start firing from a trigger pull. The initial tension also goes into aim down sight speed because depending on the gun, if it is a heavier gun or a lighter gun, the aim down sight speed will have a different tension as well. So it feels like what you're picking up and aiming is of a higher weight than something else. So if you're picking up an LMG, the ADS on that is going to feel a lot heavier than, say, a pistol or an SMG. Number 2, trigger recoil. Trigger recoil is how much pushback the adaptive triggers have during sustained fire. So if I'm unloading a mag completely from my gun, what happens to the trigger when I am holding that down? Is it pushing back very heavily against me, or is it allowing me to push it down with relative ease? There are certain guns that will push back and knock your finger back up during intense recoil, and there are other guns that are very light on the recoil back, so you don't really have to push nearly as hard to keep sustained fire going. This can be really seen very heavily in LMGs versus, I said, like submachine guns and sniper rifles even. So what I did was in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, I took every single gun in the game, reviewed the initial tension and the trigger recoil, the firing patterns and how it felt with the adaptive triggers for every single weapon in the game. And I recorded both the trigger itself physically on the controller with my finger pushing back against it, as well as the weapon firing on screen with my anecdotal evidence on the initial tension, the trigger recoil, and everything else involved with what makes these guns feel the way they do, and where I believe the tension and the recoil is on the adaptive trigger specifically. So this can feel different to certain people. So if you have a different opinion, definitely let me know in the comments. But just from feel alone and my anecdotal evidence on how it feels, it does seem that every single gun does feel different. Some of them do feel very similar, but there are also a lot that do feel completely different per gun. So this feature is amazing, and it really, really makes Black Ops Cold War stand out. I've structured the video to allow you to skip ahead to any guns that you want to see specifically, or skip past any you don't want to see. Everything is chaptered and time-stamped in the description of the video. There you have it. All guns from Black Ops Cold War reviewed with the adaptive triggers. If you guys like content like this, you want to see more, please give the video a like. It really helps out with the algorithm. It would also really help the channel if you subscribe and turn on notifications using the bell icon. I plan on putting out a lot more content with Black Ops Cold War, weapon builds, tips, tricks, and a bunch of other really neat stuff. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for that. Be on the lookout for these weapon-specific adaptive trigger videos in short form on TikTok and Instagram. If you want to come hang out with me when I'm capturing content, I'm live on Twitch 5 days a week. Thank you guys, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you in the battlefield.